Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to my channel. Hope you're all doing great. Today's recipe is the authentic Muslim home style Hyderabadi Mutton Dum Biryani. To marinate this, I've taken some salt, coriander powder, turmeric powder, biryani masala, red chili powder, ginger garlic paste, yogurt, and coriander leaves, mint leaves, green chili, and fresh lime juice. So let's get started with the cooking. My little master chef is along with me. So this is approximately 1.5 kg of mutton. You can either use sheep or lamb as you want. I've taken sheep today. I've added salt. Now I'm adding in dash of lemon. This is one recipe which everyone loves the most, and this is a very simple, easy to make recipe which all of you can try at your home. I'll also give in some tips as I go along in this video, and I'll tell you what are the mistakes that I made while making biryani in my initial days and how I later on mastered this art. So I added some yogurt and ginger garlic paste. It's always better to have homemade ginger garlic paste. If you can make fresh one, it will even enhance the flavors. But if you don't have one, if you have stored like me in the fridge, that will also do the purpose. Adding in some biryani masala into it. This is a store-bought biryani masala. You can also use fresh homemade, but I really don't have the time to make the biryani masala at home, so I'm adding one store-bought masala, and the taste of this biryani is really delicious. You must try this recipe. Then I'm adding some red chili powder. This red chili is completely as per your taste. Then I'm adding turmeric. Look what my little one is up to. After turmeric, oh my god, what a mess. Hello, Master Chef. Now some coriander powder. Time to add in our greens. Mint leaves, coriander leaves, green chilies. So green chilies completely as per your taste. Now massage this really well into the meat. That's when the flavors come alive. And I always leave this overnight. You can also keep it like for 4 to 5 hours before cooking. But for the best taste, it always tastes good when you marinate it overnight. I have given all the measurements in the description box. I'm making 1 kg biryani today. I'm taking 1 kg rice and 1.5 kg of mutton. That's my proportion and what works for me. After marination, it's time to deep fry some onions for some barista. I've taken 1 kg onion for 1 kg rice. I'm not going to deep fry all of them. I'm just going to deep fry 1/4 of these onions. I've taken oil and little bit of ghee along with this oil, and deep frying them. This is a very important step, not to burn your onions. Just take them out before it gets dark in color, because it does cook over. If you do overcooking, it gets dark and it spoils the taste of your biryani. This is one mistake which you need to avoid while making a biryani, or you can even buy ready-made. You get all the store-bought baristas these days, so that makes the job easier. But I find these to be a little more tastier when you make it at home, because it's freshly made. So I have just fried the onions in 2 batches. Meanwhile, I'll also start cooking the mutton. So I'll tell you how to make the mutton. I'm not using any raw papaya or meat tenderizer in my mutton, but I'm still able to cook them tender soft. So So what I'm doing is I'm taking a pressure cooker and I'm adding the rest of onions in little bit of oil. You can also use the oil that you used for frying the onions. It adds flavor. So I'm adding all the onions and I'm going to shallow fry them. This is one easy method. Instead of deep frying the complete set of onions, it takes a lot of time. So this is one shortcut which I use and it works really well. So I'm going to shallow fry them until they are completely golden in color. So this is also done here. I'm going to take the second batch out as well. So I'm simultaneously doing this while those onions are getting shallow fried in the oil. Now if you see, it has not got dark in color, but it's somewhat just a stage before getting dark in color. I'm using a cast iron karai here, so it looks a bit darker, but if you use a normal non-stick karai, it won't look that dark in color. So now I'm adding all the marinated mixture. Next important mistake that we need to avoid is not to add any water into this. You're just gonna cook it in its own juices and that's when you get the taste. So initial days I used to add a little bit of water for the mutton to cook, but that used to spoil the taste of the recipe. So that's the second mistake that you need to avoid while making Hyderabadi biryani. It should cook in this yogurt and its own flavors and the water that the mutton releases. So what you need to do is keep it in sim, it's low flame for and you can pressure cook it. You just need to saute it after you add it into the onions for some time, and then you can pressure cook it in a very low flame. It takes a lot of time, but the taste is actually very good when you cook it like that, and the meat gets done in a very nice way. It tastes really good. Try this method of mine and do let me know in the comment section on how it came out. So I'm just sorting it for some time, yeah, and then I'll put it under whistle. I actually waited for the cooker to give me at least 3 to 4 whistles in low flame. It takes a lot of time, so be patient because mutton biryani takes time. Now after 3 to 4 whistles, look how nicely the mutton is done. The meat is 95% done, almost done. And then what I'm going to do next is, depending on the gravy that is there in the mutton, I'm going to boil the rice. So if there's a lot of gravy, I boil the rice only 50%. If there is little gravy, then I'm going to boil it to extent of 80 to 90%. I've soaked the rice for approximately 20 minutes. And to the water, I'm going to add all these aromatics. In my list, I have cardamom, black cumin seeds, then cinnamon. So to the water, I'm adding salt. Salt should be a little high in here, otherwise it will not soak up into the rice. So I'm adding I'm using pink Himalayan salt. You can also use normal salt or rock salt if you want. And then now I'm adding all the aromatics, the black cumin seeds, cloves, cardamom, and also some cinnamon sticks. Then I'm also adding in freshly chopped green coriander, and if you want you can also add some green chilies in here, but I'm not doing it. I'm gonna add 2 spoons of ghee. It will give very good flavor to your biryani, and stir it well. Once this water comes to a boil, that's when you add your rice. Remember, the water level should be very high, so don't do the mistake of overcooking the rice if you have more gravy already, because it will always cook along with the gravy when you put it for dum. So these are the mistakes that you need to avoid while making your biryani. You should see the proportion of the gravy and the rice. Here goes in some 2 big scoops of desi ghee into the water. Now let's wait for it to come to a boil and then add all our soaked up rice. The smell is divine at this point of time. Either we overcook the rice or we undercook the rice. That is the mistake that we need to avoid while making Hyderabadi Dum Biryani. Even if you follow the ingredients and the proportion of the ingredients exactly like how I did or how other people are doing it, still the gravy can vary from for each of us depending on the type of curd that we are using, type of mutton that we are using. Now that we are done adding the rice, give it a good stir and wait for the rice to get done. So my rice is almost done, 90% done. I've cooked it according to the gravy that's left out. So here is another tip. Once you take the rice out of the water, spread it across in a big tray or something so that it doesn't get sticky or it doesn't break. It gives a good consistency to the rice, and after that start layering your biryani. So here we are transferring the mutton to the biryani pot, and then I'm going to layer the rice along with the fried onions that we made in the beginning, slowly one by one. So see, there's a lot of gravy in here. So sometimes if you have overcooked, if you cooked the rice a little bit more and there's also a lot of gravy, what you can do is, this is another tip, you can make holes in between and allow the steam to pass through. If your mutton is completely done, if your rice is completely done, then you don't have to cook the biryani in dum. You can you just have to put the lid on and make a lot of holes in between so that the steam goes out and it does not soften up your rice much. So these are the mistakes that I did in the past and I learned from my mistakes. So here we go. I'm just layering the rice. I am not using any food color in my biryani because my kids do eat this biryani. I do not add any artificial colors into any of my biryani recipes because it's not good for health simply. So if you need food color, you can add that as well. I just add some strings of saffron for that flavor in biryani. Now let's quickly do the layering and add some fried onions in between the layer. You can also add some coriander, mint leaf if you want, but I've added enough to the water and there's a lot of aroma already, so I'm not adding that anymore. I'm adding strings of saffron here and there. It's not obviously visible in the video. On to the important process of putting the biryani in dum. I'm heating up a tawa and keeping the flame on high for like 5 minutes after placing the biryani pot on the top of it. For weight, I have added a cooker full of water on the top. This is the simplest way you can make the biryani at dum. I've left it in sim for next 15 minutes and then I'm opening to check if the biryani is done. So I'm just making a small hole in between to see if there is no gravy left, if everything has dried up, the rice has soaked up all the flavors, and our biryani is done. This was so delicious. Everybody literally loved the biryani, and if you want to see more of Muslim home style cooking, do subscribe to my channel, hit that like button if you like my video. See you with yet another interesting vlog. Until then, bye bye.